Good afternoon and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. In this afternoon's Celtic news, there is a winger at Celtic that is a bit frustrated knowing that the clock is ticking down on his Celtic contract, and as it stands yet, he's not been offered a new one, and I don't think he will be. We'll talk about him in a minute. It is only 1 week and a day to go until we're back at Celtic Park, rolling on the troops for a game against Motherwell, and there should be a nice little surprise for you at Celtic Park that day. Anyway, let's talk about a big player. Well, he's not a big player really, it's Mikky Johnson. Mikky Johnson knows that the clock is ticking on his Celtic career. He knows he needs to cement a first team place if he's going to be offered a brand new contract at Celtic. He knows he needs to force his way back into the team. Mikky Johnson, when it comes to Mikky Johnson as the player and the fans, is a bit like Marmite. Some fans love him as a player, and some say that his time's done. It's like the boat in the old boating lakes, and the guy standing at the side saying, "Right, you Johnson, your time's up," and you come. His case wasn't helped with the injuries over the last couple of seasons. It's the constant injuries. The fact that he was put out on loan to Portugal and he did okay, wasn't tremendous, but he had a little ray of light playing for the Republic of Ireland, being the only bright spot in his career in the last 12 months, to say the least. He's been asked about progress to his Celtic career after, like I say, just falling apart. Brendan Rodgers did say at the start of the season he says he likes him as a player, and it's up to him to force his way into the team. There's no difference between any other player. He says ultimately, says Mikky Johnson, it's up to me. I need to try and force my way into the team. When you look at the wingers that Celtic have, it's a really hard job that he's got, and maybe it is time for him to move on. Mikky Johnson said that I have until January to do that. I will give it everything and we'll see what happens. I haven't spoken to the manager about it, and not much of the sort in the last month. We've had chats here and there. It's a tough decision for the manager to make. Ultimately, it's up to me. And let's face it, I mean, keeping him on the books is going to be all fine and dandy, but is he going to come on and make a difference to the team? There's more chance of James Forrest coming on and make a difference to the team, and that says something, because Mikky Johnson is only 24-year-old. It can be done. Liam Scales has done it. He proved all the doubters wrong at Celtic. And when you look at the way that Liam Scales' career has turned around, but maybe could it? Tell me in the comments, could Mikky Johnson turn around and save his Celtic career? At 24-year-old, he obviously wants to play every game. He wants to be involved in the Ireland camp, and he wants to be playing for Ireland. He says, realistically, not playing, you're not going to get picked for teams playing for your national country, and it's the truth. If he's not playing for Celtic, there's very little chance of him playing. Is it time for him to move on for the good and greater of his career? Because let's face it, sitting on the bench isn't for everyone. I mean, look at Scott Bain basically wasting his career away and not getting a shout at international caps. And let's face it, that's what you want to be doing. You want to be trying playing at the highest level. But he does say, Mikky Johnson said he's not sure what's going to happen in January. I do want to play more, but it's not up to me, it's up to the manager, and I need to do all I can. A big dream of mine would have been played to play in the Champions League for Celtic, but it's not happened yet. Hopefully it might do in the next couple of games. I wanted to do that, but obviously it hasn't happened. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. They said that's a guy that sounds resigned to the fact that Celtic aren't going to offer him a new contract. If I was Celtic, I'd try and put him out the door and recoup some money for him. Either that, we're going to let him go for absolutely nothing. Celtic would be better to try and sell him this window. But then again, who's going to buy him? And what kind of money would you realistically get for Mikky Johnson? Mikky Johnson said it's hard when you aren't making squads for games. It's a little bit up and down. It's character building, I have to tell you that. It makes you determined to get stuff done. I've been through it before. It's got tough, and I'll do it again, says Mikky Johnson. He's had a decent haul of medals over his time at Celtic. He has won 3 Scottish League titles, 2 Scottish Cups and 2 League Cups. So he's done a little bit in the game. He's been there and he's done it. And he's probably amassed more medals than a lot of players do in their entire career. So even though he has achieved so much, he'd like to have done a little bit more. I'm sure every Celtic fan would have liked Mikky Johnson to do and achieve a lot more in the game over the past couple of years, but he didn't. Even Mikky Johnson says he didn't have too much trust in his body at one stage. He was afraid of getting injured, and obviously when that happens, the stuff on the pitch affects you and your life massively. Every football player will tell you that. He's been really happy at Celtic. At one stage he had 18 months where he had a lot of bad injuries, and let's face it, I think his time at Celtic is probably up, but you never know. Celtic did turn around and give Bain an extended contract, a 3-year contract, just this summer when we all thought he was going out the door. So you never know what will happen at Celtic. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Another Celtic player that he suffered another international disappointing display, he says. After he headed out to the Asia Cup, everyone thought, his confidence would be on a high, but he said that he was disappointed in the fact that he could not score for South Korea in Thursday's game. So tell me what you think about, I think he's a player that's a little bit younger, he is only 21-year-old, but the fact that he hasn't scored and he feels a bit disappointed in that, it's just the way that type of players like him are. He's found himself trudging off the pitch with a familiar scene and feeling of regret, he said. He said, unfortunately, there hasn't been a goal for me yet in the national team. Size, speaking to the Sport, he says it's disappointing. O's lack of goals is certainly not something that's worrying the manager of his national side. He's been out, obviously, to see him at Celtic Park. You remember you've seen the TV pictures with Jurgen Klinsmann coming to see him at Celtic, and he thinks big things of the player. So it's only natural for a striker with lots of hunger to want to score goals at the highest level. Doesn't do it. He hasn't done it. He keeps on moving on and thinking, 1 out of 10 times you're bound to get that goal, and that's just the way that the player is. And hopefully he'll grow as a player, because there is a lot of talk about us needing another striker and Celtic going out and looking for another striker, especially due to the tournament that's going to happen in January. So obviously there is no Celtic game this weekend. We do play Motherwell next week, which is going to be exciting. Scotland are up this weekend. Scotland are obviously, they've got a qualifier, and that plays on Sunday evening. Tell me if you're going to watch that. What do you think the Scotland score will be? Scotland have already got through, and good luck to them on Sunday. On that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up.